What's your goal for the next 12 months? Profit?
Minimum 80K, hopefully cracking 100. People can make mistakes, they will make mistakes, and you can lose a significant amount of money.
Well, a cousin of my fiance has 80K stuck in stat decks.
An easy way to put it is there's guys making hundreds of thousands on a Saturday, and they're spending the same amount of time as the guys losing money on a Saturday. There's only so many hours on a Saturday.
What happened?
Fell off a bike and landed on my head.
Well, you're going 120 Ks an hour.
All right, Dennis, welcome to the podcast. Don't know what number podcast this is. We got Lenny here as well. Dennis was our first mentorship member. Apparently they're called mentees.
Yeah, I think mentees is the right word.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if we'll go with that because I reckon most people won't know what that is.
Whatever rolls off the tongue.
Yeah. So you've come from, how long have you been a member for?
Probably a year and a half now.
Yeah.
I think a year and a half, late 2021, 22, sorry. 22.
Nice. So I guess I want to ask you a few questions. We haven't really planned much. Lenny will probably ask you a couple and you may have some questions for us at the end. Where did you start firstly prior to joining? Because I remember, funny story. Do you want to tell us the funny story or do you want me to tell it?
Yeah, no, I'll go
You
into
can go.
it.
Tell us how
I think I'll go a bit.
how we first met.
Yeah. Bit of context to that. I think early days, sort of just turned 18, 19. When there was sort of $2 favourite promos was sort of my first intro to match betting, probably more arbitrage. And so I always knew it was a thing, but when those promos sort of went, I was like, oh, well, I can't really make money from this anymore. Went on my merry way and then sort of decided, I was like, surely there's got to be other ways to like make money through this. I knew there had to be a way. So I sort of just, Googled it, searched it, that sort of stuff. And then JP's face came on my TikTok quite a bit. And so I think this was sort of just a stage where you were rinsing blokes, having screenshots of bets up and just getting absolutely stuck into people. And then I think 2 weeks after that, I was playing a pracky match. Yeah. And then so I was playing back pocket and I lined up against JP. And I was like, I've seen this mug before. And I was standing in the goal square and I was like, huge fan. And then he thought I was taking the piss out of him. He goes, of what? I was like, the Hustler Squad, I'm a big fan. He goes, oh, are you a sub? I'm like, oh, not yet. I'm going to wait till after the footy season. And so it was a bit funny. And then I guess a bit after that, it was Mad Monday. And so the footy season obviously just finished and I was pretty much ready to buy a sub. And there was some Insta competition. I can't remember the exact thing, but it was commenting something to the effect of why people hate on, I don't think it was hate on match bettors, but why people don't want other people to succeed. It was something to do with that. And I remember, when I entered, it was the day before and I'd gone through like your last 9 to 10 posts and I was sort of just like, what are every single keyword that you said in all these posts, written them down and sort of just collated that into one straight response.
Yeah,
and then
He would have loved that too because that's exactly how he operates and that's what he's looking for.
No, I think I hit every buzzword, like Paul Poppy syndrome and I hit it all. I was so happy with it.
That's a very simple way in which the competition winners get selected. So yeah, well done. I was saying before, when I didn't actually join the dots because I knew. Do we communicate after that?
Yeah, we had a free call. So I think I
free call
booked
as well.
a free call with you a couple of months after that when I was getting ready for it all. I sort of just wanted to understand just a little bit more about how it operates, generally, and then it was more of a case of just literally waiting for the football season to finish.
Yeah.
And then lucky enough to win the competition. I think within the first 48 hours, I'd gone through all the content 2-3 times over, had my notebook out, writing it all down. Because I think the big thing for mine is with arbitrage betting or those $2 favourites, it was just you were locking in guaranteed profits every single time.
Do you want to explain that to anyone who doesn't know what that is? Because I reckon a lot of people would have no clue.
Yeah, fair.
Maybe just fully dumb it down what you were doing and sort of what year is this?
This would have been 2018.
Like Ladbrokes?
Yeah, Ladbrokes. What was the old bet? Not Bet Deluxe. It was the purple branded Crown Bet and
Bet Easy, Crown Bet.
Bet Easy, that's the one. They had $2 favourites on all their marquee Thursday night, Friday night games, and you could pretty much just by using the two-way calculator just guarantee profits. It didn't matter which team won, you lock in
max $25. Ladbrokes was 50, I reckon, or 100.
I think it was 50 at one stage because I remember I made a couple of grand off of it in a season. And I took the missus trip to Queensland.
Yeah, nice.
And I was like, oh, that was a bit of fun. But then once that sort of went away, I couldn't find anything that was guaranteed a result every single time. And in my mind, that was sort of just the fact that there was a downside or variance. In my mind at that time, was sort of just like, it can't work. It might not work. So if I wasn't guaranteeing the profit, that sort of was a red flag for me. So I sort of just left it.
Well, it's an interesting one because a lot of people have that mindset with match betting. They come to us, they might do the free course, and then they're like, well, I don't get bonuses. Like, I don't get deposit offers. So how do you make money? Like, not a lot of people understand that you can keep making money with the promotions that is available to everyone, right? Every single Saturday there are horse promotions, right? The system can run, horse promo method can run. So like a lot of people see match betting, yeah, great, I understand how it works, and then their brain just doesn't understand that people can keep making money. And that's like an example of like a limiting belief. It's kind of like you don't know what you don't know. And that's where we need to keep getting people, like our free course, for example, explains that you can do more stuff. So interesting. I think a lot of people would have that opinion about match betting. Like they know it works, but then they don't know how to keep making money, which is interesting. So that was 2018. Did you keep doing it for the next 2 years, or you just did it for that 1 year?
It was pretty much just that 1 year. I think that was sort of the last of those promotions. Like I couldn't really find anything else. I'd spend like a heap of time just trying to find like misprices to like find arbitrages, and it wasn't worth the time. Like I would barely find anything.
You're making like a couple of dollars.
Literally, and if it was like 1% and sort of the bankroll at the time, uni student working casually, like I didn't have like the capital to really throw at it. So I sort of just put it to the side, and it's like, I always thought there was something with horse racing, and my old man as well, he's been like pretty into it as well. And I remember it was one spring race. It was one of the race days in a spring, and we did something. It was so dumb. I can't remember exactly what it was, but we backed like 4 or 5 different horses across multiple bookies, and we thought somehow that like all 6 of the favorites, like, and then if we laid all of them on Betfair, it was no structure to it, no thought, quite impulsive. And I laid the wrong horse, and like we lost like $500, and I was like,
interesting.
I'm just gonna not do this. I'm like, this is a bit too complex for me. So I sort of just put it to the side.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until literally scrolling through TikTok when I think you were rinsing someone, and then I went onto your profile from there, and it intrigued me, and sort of that's when I did a little bit more digging. And I guess definitely once I bought Platinum, everything started to just like click. It's like variance, and like you can like what EV actually means, and how something can over a long period of time actually be profitable. Like I get that was sort of just the circuit breaker for me that sort of just made it quite clear you don't need to profit on every single bet or play in order to be profitable. Yeah,
it's like any investment. Like there's going to be downside to anything in the short term, but a lot of this is a gambler mindset, is like they think they have to win every bet, and as soon as they don't win a bet, they chase and then they lose.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something that a lot of people don't understand, that concept.
Yeah, and I think from mine is it's like I have a very, very small like gambling background, like in terms of like $5 multis here, share with a couple of mates, like as recreational within your means as you can possibly be. And so a big thing for mine was I was always cautious. I'm like, I don't want to lose money. I don't want to do anything stupid, get bad habits. So it was like, that was where a little bit of the hesitation came from. Like it's because, it's everyone knows, the house always wins.
Yeah.
And so, when they've got the edge, they obviously do win. And so that was sort of just always in the back of mind, and sort of.
You didn't know how the house won though back then?
Not in the way I understand how sports bet and bookies make money now. I understood from a casino perspective, but I have I think a very good understanding now about how bookmakers actually profit just mathematically. Like from sports bets perspective, they really don't care who wins what market. Like they've locked in their profit no matter what. Like it's built in to their odds, and that's sort of something I didn't really understand until.
I think most people don't understand that. If they did, they would not be betting. If they understood how.
I mean, I was talking to my old man about this because it's like Sportsbet themselves as a company is, in my opinion, like a top 10 business in Australia. Like their marketing, their operations, how they do everything is like genuinely elite, and they're obviously the market leaders in this space. But like they have some of the worst odds and like some like really like big markets, and like they're ripping people off in like to their face, and people are happy.
Yeah, but they're not consciously happy. They don't know any different. People, like the average punter does not look at the best odds. They just place the bet.
Yeah.
And I know this is something that like we forget, because like if we're not sitting in a Facebook group, with all due respect to these groups, it's just full of dumb punters. Yeah. You forget that is the average, because when you surround yourself with smarter, more intelligent, more logical thinkers that know about betting, you then think that's everyone. Yeah. And then you forget the average is lower than that. So then you're like, well, oh shit, no shit. People actually don't care about the odds. They just place the bet. And then when you say to them like, oh, you could have bet a bet for $2.80 instead of $2.40, they don't actually see
it's
any
not
different.
Significant to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is mind blowing to me now.
It's like going to the shop and buying something for $10 when you could buy it for $5 in the same shop. It's like, why would you buy it for 10?
Literally.
But they don't think like that when they bet. So yeah, that's interesting. Going back to you, you started with the $2 lines. You then went, had a bit of a hiatus, saw some TikToks, saw me in a pracky match, joined Platinum through the free Platinum. And then what happened after that? How much capital did you start with? And how quickly till you joined the system?
That's a good question. I can't remember the exact bankroll that I had. I think that it was something that was just every single paycheck I was just putting an amount to the side. I sort of.
Well, how did you start? Like, what was your
size or?
No, just in general. Like, how did you start making money with Platinum and system and like setting up accounts? Like, how many accounts did you start with? That kind of.
I pretty much just started with the main ones. So I had your Sportsbet, Ned Lads, Tab, PointsBet, and that was pretty much it. Yeah. So I think step one was opening all those other accounts, turning over the bonus bets. And then once that sort of dried out, I think it was very logical for me to then go into the system.
Yeah.
So I reckon there probably would have been 4-week turnaround between Platinum and the system, thereabouts. And then once I joined the system, I'm pretty sure Steve was my first coach.
Yeah. So it would have been probably in Ivanka, the old channel.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then so I think I started the first week or first 2 weeks, I didn't place a single bet. I was sort of just like
following the rules.
Yeah. And so it would be like I'd have the races on, I'd have my accounts, and it would literally just be like, the tip would come through, open up this bookmaker, pretend to put it on, like just to, I don't know, get a rhythm. Because I remember like tips they come out 60 seconds before the jump, and so I think for me at the time, it's like, how hard is that to do? And just get in the rhythm of how I would follow it. Yep. And then after I think like 2 weeks of that, I was pretty eager to get onto it. I think I told Steve I was going to do $20 unit size, and he just said based on the accounts that I had and how they were primed, like go small. So I think I was on $10 for the first month, 15 the month after that, 20, and then I did 40 for a fairly long period of time. And then I think 6-7 months after that is when the sports system started.
Yeah, right. So
yeah, end of 20, I was just looking. I couldn't find your name when you signed up, but I had a paid call with you on 18th of November 2022.
Right. Yeah.
So that would have been like about 2 months into Platinum.
Yeah.
We sort of spoke about some stuff. I remember back then, you would have had, I got the call recorded, but you would have had like, I think you only had like 6K bank or something like lowish.
That sounds about right.
And you were kind of very patient, and I was like, this guy's going to be very good. Like, you were very much accepting the long game.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of people like want to make like 10K straight away. You were like very much from like you understand finance, markets, you understand everything's a long game. So that was fine.
No.
But you did have aspirations to like take to the next level eventually. We didn't currently have anything in place then, but there was always going to be something. So I said, just maybe hold off on that until then. And you patiently listened to that. And then I think, don't want to tell the story for you, but I reckon after joining the sports system, when did you join the mentorship? Like July?
September.
Yeah, September.
July, yeah, it was September.
Late August,
even
September.
before that.
So how much did you made in that? It was about 18K, wasn't it?
Well, before that, you'd made 18K already.
Before
we started working together,
before we worked together, it was
18K, 17K, yep.
But I remember when you bring up that the paid call that I had, I remember the reason I put that in is because I was seeing the podcast, I was seeing people post, I've made 15, 20K, and I was like, I'm just not at that level. And I'm like, am I missing something? And I think that, took me through a couple of like different ways to optimize my process. I don't know how much you want to go into it, but like that took me, I think from that call, I went from 6K profit to that 15, 17 in a relatively similar
And that was
time
just,
frame.
that'd be over like the sports system period.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you
exactly.
get some chunk
Actually,
there.
sorry, yeah, before the sports, I think I doubled my profits in like 2 months after that phone call. And then from there, it was the sports system started, and I was playing football again that season, so I couldn't really follow the horses. And I went for a little bit of a holiday as well. So it probably wasn't the most consistent time or maximizing, I guess, my general operation. But I remember that phone call was sort of just like put me onto a new path.
Yeah.
And that definitely sort of, it was nice sort of even just to like converse with you a little bit.
Were you in the original sports service?
Yes.
So that made what, like 7.5K?
Yeah.
You got a good chunk of
Yeah,
that.
that was the easiest, the best 1K I've ever spent.
Did you have a $50 bet size for that?
Yeah.
So you made what, like 7K? Like you got it all?
I missed 1 month, so a little bit less than that.
Yeah. Okay.
But still. It was,
Why is it the best 1K you've ever spent? Because you made 7 or what?
It's because I made 7, so you start off ROI is pretty good there. But it also like it opened my mind up to I guess sports promos.
Yeah.
For my mind, like before that, it was
It's just horses. And
yeah.
what else
You
do
have your
do?
sign up bonuses, and then you've got horses, and then that's all you're bound to. And now it's sort of opened up, same game multis and all other forms of sports promos like this. Like it opened another door, and it's like there's a lot of opportunities here to make money. And I think that since then, like and we can touch on it a bit more later, but through the mentorship, I've been able to develop my own sports system that I sort of follow myself. And it's, one thing that's enabled me to do is I still follow the horse system, I follow the sports system, and I have my system. So if one of those three has a bad day, another one has a good day. It's like, it's just been this consistent ride up. And it's like, I know we don't want to focus on specific days or hours or weeks, but it's sort of just having that diversified.
Eases the variance.
Yeah,
I guess,
exactly.
yeah.
And it's sort of just, obviously it maximizes profits. And it's like, I could have an awful day on the horses, but a great day on sports. And it's like, it just makes things easier.
Yeah. The best $1,000 Dennis has ever spent. He's talking about the sports system. If you don't know what it is and you want to learn more about it, send us a DM to our Instagram account. Basically, it's the product or service that our top line Platinum Squad members are using to diversify their match betting profits. Yeah, this is what a lot of Platinum members who are following both or just, like for example, someone following just the system, they go -10. I know we're not focusing on days anymore, but like they do that and they feel like shit. Whereas if you're a Platinum member, you may have done other methods that day. Not so much now, like you're probably not going to be doing horse promo method as much, but other people will be like, oh, well, I turned my bonuses over at 80. I saved like 4 units or 3 units there or something like that. Then I did the sports system. That profited like $250 today. So it like kind of, like you said, diversifies. And then it makes less pressure on one thing. So it's just investing. Like you invest into 10 different stocks versus one, all your eggs in one basket versus
Well, it's ultimately
10.
just more turnover and more betting you do, the steadier variance is going to be.
Yeah.
So balancing all of that with sustainability, obviously people thinking like, how do you bet all these things? It's like you've obviously got processes and stuff you've learned and picked up with Lenny and pre-Lenny that you've put in. How many accounts did you get banned prior to joining Mentorship?
It's a good question. Not a lot. I think I've lost like BetNation, Bet Deluxe, and Surge, which I count as one.
That's in a bit over a year period since you joined Hustler.
There was that. Before I started all of this, I'd lost PointsBet. At the time, I didn't understand why, but it kind of makes sense now. They had like a bunch of, run second to 10, get your money back. And I was just abusing that, not sort of just to like, it wasn't even with making profit in mind. I was like, I think there was Super Bowl just around the corner. And I was like, if I have some bonus bets to spend on that, a bit of fun. Yeah. And then so I lost PointsBet. So I thought that was a bit stiff. I lost Elite Bet. Mm-hmm. Fun. Do you remember the Elite Bet story?
No.
Oh, this is an absolute cracker. So this was, I think I was on like a $20 unit size, and I was following on a Saturday or something like that, and I was meant to do a $50 bet, because it was a 2-unit horse, so it was meant to do $50 on Elite Bet, placed the bet, moved on, and I was sort of just recapping the end of day profits. And I was going through the accounts. I was like, why is Elite Bet so low? I'm like, didn't it, like, I only placed one bet and a loss. And I go onto my bet slips and I put 500 instead of 50. And I was like, at that stage as well, like when you're in a $20 unit size, like it's a fairly chunky loss. And so I messaged JP. I was like, I fucked up. I was like, if I message them or send them an email, like act full muggish, like, do you reckon there's a chance? He's like, yeah, I mean, like, what's the harm? It's like the money's gone. There's no real downside. So I tried to sound as muggish as possible. And they said, no, sorry, mate. And for your troubles, you've lost promos on your account. So I lost $500 in promotions in one afternoon. So
Nice.
it wasn't the best. But after that, I think a Palmer bet was the only other one that I lost. And that was a bit of market research. I put a promo bet and a bonus bet on the same race. And within 20 minutes, I lost the account on a Saturday.
Nice. Did it win?
One of the bets won. I can't remember which.
Yeah, okay.
But it was like within 20 minutes of the event finishing, I got an email on a Saturday saying I've lost promotions.
Do you remember if it was the bonus or the promo?
I have a feeling it was the promo, but I can't remember.
Yeah,
I can go back and look if you want.
Yeah,
It wouldn't be hard to find.
Now on the mentorship, that was, you would have joined back end of the AFL sports system.
Yeah.
You're obviously quite familiar with me at that stage. What kind of made you want to jump in? I remember we had the first kind of phone call and you probably were a bit standoffish. I reckon that was due to just the investment of it.
Yeah.
And then I reckon a week later, like I was just like, oh yeah, he's not jumping in. And then a week later, you just sent me a message out of the blue. He's like, oh, you want to have another chat?
Yeah.
I'm like, what's going on here? And then you called me and you're all of a sudden keen. So
Yeah.
what kind of, I guess, flipped the switch in your head to make you want to be a part of it?
No, it's a good question. I guess I'd expressed interest in the VIP or the elites. I think it was sort of what it was.
Yeah, we were
originally
kind of
branded
calling it
as.
that at the start, but
Yeah, and I remember that sort of just died off for a bit.
Yeah.
And a message went out about it, so I put my hand up, I'm like, yep, still interested, 100%.
Yep.
And then you organised the call, and I think it was a combination of a couple things that sort of initial hesitancy. I think the first one is like I think you were quite new to the company at that stage as well, so it was sort of just like I didn't think this at the time, but upon reflection, there was a little bit of like just an unfamiliar person, like so. There's that sort of aspect of it. Like
I was probably kind of only in videos and stuff for I reckon 4 or 5 months at that point.
In videos, you're in one podcast.
Yeah.
And then you'd pop up on a story or whatever.
Yeah.
But not yet.
Yeah, I don't think I had I hadn't spoken to you. I hadn't had too much to
personal.
do with you. But then I remember you sent me a few more details sort of about what's covered in it. And then in that week, the more I looked at it, I was like, this actually makes sense.
Yeah.
And then I remember I was talking to my old man about it because I still live at home. And sort of he's been there, he's pushed me a bit on this because he's always like, I think we think very similarly. And he was sort of talking about there's 100% a way to make money off the bookies, but he didn't have the time to sit down and think about it. And sort of, I just wasn't motivated to go find the methods myself. And then he was like, it all made sense to him. We were chatting about it. And then it's sort of the light bulb moment was I've made 17K to date. The upside is like, I have insight onto how to scale, like do that well, optimize processes. Like it was just, once I put it in that like frame, that
was you like kind of thought that before you even knew what was in there. Like that was before we even spoke about and started together.
Yeah, and then that's sort of what helped me pull the trigger. And then
Last week I got on a call with someone, and he's going to join, and he said, "Why the fuck is it so cheap?" In terms of like, are you guys not charging any ongoing fees with this? I'm like, no, it's a one-off fee. Now, why do you think someone looks at it like that, and then someone else might look at it as
your
that's
first
too much?
opinion on it?
Yeah.
So what changed in your head? Is it like knowing how much you can make, or is it like opening up the time frame to look at it as a longer term thing? Like what do you think that is?
I feel like everyone's different. And
Yeah.
I think that a lot of it is just the amount of money that you have put aside for specific things.
Yeah.
For me, I'm sort of in the process as well with my partner. Sort of, we want to buy a house. I know that's contentious from your 15-minute podcast.
Whatever is
this
good for
morning.
you, as long as you've thought about it.
Yeah,
like,
no. And
you
so
wish you
it's like,
would've.
I'd put a bit of money aside for that. And so there was
right.
I would have to dig into that in the short term for it as well. Like, unless I was to, not spend any money for a month or two, probably a bit longer. So I think that's sort of one thing that created a little bit of hesitancy. I think it's also, I don't know, like, is this person experienced in match betting?
Yeah.
Like, that's another thing. I remember, like, on the Gator podcast, I think he spoke about purchasing a lot of different courses in education. I think that at that stage, I hadn't, other than, like, going to uni, I hadn't purchased any training courses.
Well, you didn't even buy
that.
Platinum. So you probably
Yeah,
haven't even had, have you had any other fees? Apart from the system, which is, well, I don't know what sort of sub you're on. Monthly,
I think
3
I was
monthly,
6
yearly?
monthly.
6 monthly. So it's like $4.59 every 6 months.
Yeah.
You may have got a discount, I don't know. But
No, I paid full. I remember that.
okay.
I wasn't stiff on it either because I was like, I got free Platinum.
Well,
like,
one of the benefits is you don't actually pay for any of those again,
Yeah.
which we haven't really spoken about. So, like, for example, now as a mentorship member, you don't pay for the sports system, you don't pay for the system, you get all of that free forever. So that's, like, I don't think we even told you that yet.
No, I had no idea. I remember
okay.
it was, I think the podcast where you first started promoting it. And it was sort of just dropped and I was like,
Nice.
I didn't know that. Yeah. And then, my first 6 month fee was like around New Year's Eve and like the transaction was still processed and I was like, I'll follow up with it in a couple of days. And like 2 hours after that, like Tom messaged me like, hey, I don't know why this transaction went through, and he sorted it out. But it was like, that was just a bonus. Like I think that had been promoted from the start, I don't think I probably would have jumped on it sooner.
Well, like looking at it like that, like if you look at the sports system times 2, because we've had summer, winter.
Yeah.
You would have got the summer free, yeah?
Yep.
So that's like, what was it for summer? 800, 700?
750, I think it was.
How much?
From memory. 750.
750.
You got the cheaper one though, because you were
There was an offer to existing members.
Yeah.
So you didn't pay that?
No.
No. So 750 and then 1,000 for the winter. Yeah. So that's 1,750, and then you're looking at like around about 600 to 700 per year.
Yeah.
Obviously 6 monthly is more expensive, but we do have that price for yearly.
Yeah.
What's it like 2.4, 2.5
Yeah.
per year? It's gone.
Yeah. That's
so like
that's the other thing as well. Like this, obviously after the fact, so it didn't impact my purchasing decision. But I remember I was just like doing the maths on making my money back, like ROI on the investment. I was like, within a month, I think I was already like I had made 5K or something close to that. When you incorporate the value of the sports, the summer system, free horse system. So it was like that made it even easier. But that was after the fact. Yeah,
interesting. So now, like there's been a lot of different members that have joined Lenny. Like you're talking with people who've made like $250,000 that have joined already. Yeah. And then you're talking about like Dennis.
You're like probably one of the lower scale guys who I've worked with from the starters, and you haven't done any kind of scaling or anything like that. And there's guys on the kind of higher end, but you've literally transitioned to be like you've got the full knowledge of those higher end guys in literally 3 months, I reckon. Yeah.
So explain that. Like how. There's been a pattern so far. Like it took how long did you take to make 5K?
Would have been 4 months. To make 5K would have been probably 9 months.
Okay, and then you made doubled 5K again in how long? A month, 2 months?
Yeah,
2 months.
3 months.
3 months. So let's look at 12 months. You've made close to 10, which is kind of what our roadmap is to the public. Like we say, everyone can make 10. But look at your first 9 months, you made 5, and then you make 5 again in the next 3.
Yeah.
Were you aware of that at the start, or is that just kind of what you accepted this to be a longer thing? Because I think a lot of people think, I'm going to make 10K this 12 months, but then they think it's going to be exactly like 900 a month or whatever, which is wrong. It compounds later.
Yeah.
And then now that's doubled. So you went from 10 to 18 very quickly, and then now that's gone to what?
Yeah, no, that's...
what are you at now?
But what have you've made nearly 10K in the last month, haven't you?
Yeah, so...
You don't have to say the exact amount, but
no, Jan was a good month.
You made 10K in Jan?
Just under. Sorry, not just under. It was just under 7K. It was like a couple hundred under that. But
nice.
And that was on a really bad month of variance
That was an awful month.
Well, the system went whatever it went.
That was just a little bit of this, like the summer sports system, but a lot of that was on the back of the systems that I developed, which gave me like a lot of satisfaction as well, because it's like relying on you guys. I'm like getting stuff from you, but I know I have a bit of independence with it.
It's like grabbing bits from everywhere, and like doing this by yourself. You may have made 2 if you didn't join mentorship, but now you made 7 because you've grabbed shit from Lenny.
You would have lost money that month.
Well, for sure.
I don't know, because you guys are working together more than I know, but like I've been talking to a guy who's on the fence about joining, and he's kind of saying, oh, well, I know like these guys who are really high in match betting and like, I think I can just get it off them, the information. And I'm like, yeah, but are they going to like personally coach you through like your own process, sit down with you, literally pull apart your system and your process and like say, that's wrong, you can do that better, you're losing like money here, there's that leakage, there's this leakage, you're losing money on promo turnover or non-promo turnover.
Without pumping ourselves up too, we're here at 6 a.m. every day, talking about match betting.
This is our life. Like, with all due respect, like unless
there's not many other people in this.
There is, but like they're not publicly doing it to this. Like, if they're doing it by themselves or with their mates or whatever, and it's like they're not speaking to thousands of people every month, like free and not free. Like, there's so much, and that's compounding right now. Like, even the Platinum Discord, it's just like so much. Like, Pete did a video the other day. He's like, a year ago, the Platinum Squad Discord was dead. Like, credit to Lenny and James, our tech guys. They revamped the whole Discord last July, and man, it's a completely different. Like, the community now is an asset. Like, we could easily charge for that, and everyone would be like, yeah, I'm paying, I don't know, X dollars per year if they wanted to stay in, because it's valuable to them. Because so many different people, more people coming in, more stories, more experience, more anecdotal evidence to learn about different bookies. So it's super valuable. Don't know where we were going, but
someone sitting on the fence.
Yeah, he's kind of like, I can learn this off someone else, and I'm like, yeah, you can, but like you're gonna take way longer. It's like, I'll quote.
You don't have a pathway to kind of.
And no one's telling you it's right. Like, there's so much value in like knowing it's right, rather than being like wasting so much energy wondering if it's right. And it's like, if you're the only one thinking about it, you just waste so much energy. And then you put that in the whole scheme of energy in a week. It's like, I work full time, I do this, I train, I go to the gym, and it's like, that's an extra bit of
so
thing
just
you
a
have
question,
to worry
like,
about.
how have you found having that kind of clear kind of path and progression?
It's been the best, and like, you're very responsive. Like, I'll have a question on a Sunday morning about a specific type of promo or just anything, and it's like, I'll usually get a response within 30 minutes, obviously within reasonable times, but it's responsive. It's, it removes all doubt. Like, you get that validation of what you're thinking, and you can test your ideas, your concepts, and it's like, that's what makes it easy. It's like specific bookie information, and like the other thing as well, it's like scaling. Sort of, I guess, I was very hesitant on scaling at the start, because I didn't want to. I've seen in the Discord, like, people can make mistakes, they will make mistakes, and you can lose a significant amount of money. And like, I just didn't want to fall in that trap. I didn't want to do anything wrong, and so I'd stayed off that, and just being able to go step by step with Lenny, just being like hundreds of questions, like. I
remember we sat downstairs for 4 hours.
Yeah, it was
just
heaps, and it was just like, just even to be able to ask like very small, detailed questions and like test ideas, concepts. I think the best way I would describe it, it's sort of like, if you were to join the system, it's like, sort of like, what's the food delivery service where you get HelloFresh.
Yeah.
HelloFresh. So if you join the system, it's like HelloFresh. Like, you guys...
get the instructions.
Yeah, you get the instructions, you get all the ingredients, it's sent to you, all you have to do is execute. So make the meals, place your bets. You join Platinum, it's like purchasing a cookbook. You have all the recipes, all the theories, methods to do what you need to do. But then, you invest in the mentorship program, and it's like you're going to culinary school. Like, you're learning how to be a chef. Like, you can do everything. It's
You've got a chef next to you.
Exactly. Like, you've got someone that's done everything there. Like, you're doing your apprenticeship.
Like, what I think the biggest thing with the mentorship is, not only am I pushing you in a certain direction, trying to get you somewhere, but I open your thinking to a whole different like range of thoughts that you wouldn't have had before that, and you keep touching on your own kind of method that you've made. Would you put that down to just opening your mind to what's out there? Yeah,
absolutely. I think one thing for me is, it's like, especially in my current job, it's like, I have no experience, and
you work full time, yeah.
Yeah, so
that's probably contextual as well.
Sorry,
you're like,
should have started with that.
Full time, and you're being able to still do all this.
Yeah, and so I work in business consulting, and so I'm dealing with some pretty seasoned vets within the space that know so much about so many businesses, and I've come out of uni and I don't know a lot. And so I'm talking to them, I'm learning. And so it was drilled into me pretty early. Like, you got to be humble. You got to be just like open to learning from the people that know things that you just don't know. that you can't know because you haven't had that experience. And so taking that mindset into this, it's like I've just tried to be as much of a sponge as I can and just absorb. I think I do a good job of not having any like ego when it comes to
You
this
have
sort
to
of
do that.
stuff.
Like if you think you know everything, you're just gonna hold yourself back.
Well, it's like
Like I don't understand people who think like that, where they think they know everything and they refuse to
Well, it's
accept
kind of
that someone
reflective
else might
of
know
like
more.
generally that person's life is reflective of that kind of mindset.
Well, I remember I read a book once and I was, I can't remember the name of it, but a part of it was talking about this thing called like the bathtub theory, where it's like if you think of like how a bathtub's shaped, it's like on your y-axis, it's how much you think you know, and then on the bottom, it's how much you actually know. So at the start, everyone, like once you start learning about something, like,
Dunning-Kruger.
yeah, same thing. And it's like, I think I know everything, but really don't know anything. And then like, as you like, I know nothing. And then it's only when you start to like 10 years of experience and actually start to master those things that you really know things. And for me, that's sort of just like engraved in my mind. Like anytime I think I know something, I probably don't.
Well,
like even us, we've been in the space for a while now and spoke to a lot of people, got a lot of, like we spoke to a bloke yesterday.
Yeah, that was fucked.
And we literally got our minds blown within like the betting space. Yeah. We've never heard anything like this before. We didn't know this existed.
We didn't sit there thinking we did though, but we sit there now and you're like, whoa, like how
it's quite
how
humbling.
can we do this full time for like 11 years and then still like obviously this is what's happening. We're saying you never know everything, but like that just confirms it. Yeah. So imagine one person sitting in their house thinking they know all of it, and they're talking to a couple of people. Yeah. And we're talking to thousands of people, and we still are mind blown.
Like Steve, and JP are literally sitting at the table, just looking at each other, like
gobsmacked.
What is going on?
We won't go into the specifics about what it was, but like let's just say that it's the same principle. Like, for example, you discover $2 lines, you make $2,000 in a year, then you're like, oh, match betting doesn't work. Yeah. And then there's people making like millions. Yeah. And it's like, well, that person doesn't have a clue that can exist. And even speaking to my mum last night, I'm like, oh, we spoke to this guy today and this can happen. And she's like, what do you mean? That's not possible. Yeah. I'm like, no, that's like reality. This is the 21st century. Yeah. And it's like, fuck.
Nah, so, I got a mate and I'm pretty open about like match betting with my friends. And I got one and he trusts that I'm like, okay, but he's got such a skepticism towards it.
So he still thinks you're like gambling
exactly.
or something.
And it's like, I've tried to explain it to him in so many different ways. And it's like, even dumbing it down to like a law of large numbers. I'm like, if you flip a coin like 10 times, it could be heads 10 times in a row. It could be it's unlikely, but it's not going to necessarily be 50-50. You flip that coin like a million times, it's going to be 50-50 or thereabouts. It's like, but what if it's not? I'm like,
it has to be.
But it will.
But then what if the coin's weighted on one side?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it's like, I feel like some people, and I think it's the right mindset to have if you know nothing about match betting or anything like that, to be like, the house always wins, don't gamble. I don't think that's a bad mentality.
It's better to be skeptical for sure.
Exactly.
Because then you'd rather that than you start betting and thinking you can beat same game multis with no edge or like what every mug does. Yeah. Like, of course.
But I think the moral of this story is like the match betting world is just, there is so much shit out there that you don't know, that no one knows. It's not just it's not just the system. It's not just turning a bonus. It's not just sign up offers. There is stuff that is literally out of this world. There's just information everywhere, different ways to make money. It doesn't stop. It's like any other industry.
The beauty of it is like something that you probably haven't said yet is now you're the first person to join this. Now I have no doubt that Lenny, he can confirm this. There's been another X people to join, and that's growing. Like, how much information is now being fed back to Dennis? Like, Lenny, you can speak as well, that you've learned from others. Like, back in Boxing Day, we did that one of the guy made $250,000. How much have you learnt off him?
Yeah, like a shit ton. And like, you wouldn't even know, but just random things I feed back to you. It's just from me learning from other guys.
And that's the same as anything. Like, we've done this for 4 years. Like, we didn't know everything when we knew probably, I don't know, 1% of what we know now. Yeah. 4 years ago, yet we're still able to teach hundreds of people, and we're still gonna you just have to keep learning.
Yeah, for sure. And it's
the only way to be successful.
And the information itself, like, it'll be something as small as like, hey, if you're gonna set up a scale this account, like, make sure you do like these exact things and like let it rest for a bit. And it's like, yeah, okay, sure. And I'm like getting the benefits from that already.
Well, for example, that could cost you 5K if you get stuck. I was at a party
Or
on
you
the
spend
weekend.
4 hours trying to work out what the shit you're doing there.
Yeah. How's this for a story? Many people won't believe this, but one of my, well, a cousin of my fiance, has 80K stuck in StatDex.
Jeez.
80K. So like, I'm like, bro, I was speaking to him on the weekend, I'm like, do you want help to get that out? He's like, it can't be fucked, like it's stressful. And it's like, obviously,
I'll buy it off him.
Literally, like we firstly, like, this is what can go wrong if you don't scale properly. And this is why we don't encourage doing this. And this is why we have certain ways to prevent and minimize. And because we know all this stuff about like what bookies do certain things, that like for that guy, that's worth 80K. Like, obviously we're not telling him to join that because like we haven't spoken to him prior, but that's what can go wrong. And it's like, fuck, like that could have been prevented from just leveraging stuff and knowing the right things to do. And a lot of people don't see that because they don't see how the downside can be that big.
Are you seeing the value? It's
But
like, as in, it's not just the amount of profit you've made, but it's what like you've been enabled to do now. So like you've only made X amount from however long you've been a part of it, but you now have the knowledge to do whatever you want with it. And I know you don't spend like all your waking hours match betting, you do other things too, but you now have the ability to take this on whenever you want.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely, it's a nice little safeguard. Like, it's always nice to know that like for a short period of time, I can fall back on this. Right now, it's sort of, this is enabling me and fast tracking my partner and I's ability to get a house. Like, that's like the thing I look at it. I'm like, yeah, I can get my wage every single month and put, 20, 30, 40, even 50% aside. That can only be X amount by that period of time.
Well, you were messaging me on the paid call. You said you just invested in like the SP 500 and the indices, and in my head I'm like, fuck, like good, but like, bro, that's like full slow motion compared to like this. Like it's fully slow motion.
Yeah, so I liquidated all that now.
Yeah, so you sold it all.
Yeah, it's all reinvested into this.
How much are we talking there?
Oh, not a substantial
like
amount, but
10K.
Yeah, thereabouts.
So you've sold 10K of that to put it into this.
Yeah, and it took me, I think, I worked it out like a month and a half to get my 10K back, and since then, like, doubled the investment maybe thereabouts.
So
like it's
which is good to make a point, but that's a pretty shit mindset to have about it. Like trying to chase money back. It's just about keep getting better and better.
Yeah,
correct.
Sure.
But like subconsciously, you do want to be like I'll give you my perspective on that. Like when I was 2018, I probably had like, I don't know, can't remember, like maybe 20K to my name or something smaller than now. Or when I was match betting at my peak, I had more like 150K bank. But on my 20K bank, I sold like some Rio Tinto stocks that were making me like $600 a year in dividends.
Yeah.
And they were going up, and I'm like, well, fuck, I need this money now because I'm going to make some more money in the short term and I need the capital. Yeah. I just sold them, couldn't give a fuck about where they went up. And then next minute I made like 20K in 2 months because I sold those shares. And it's like some people attach to that, like, oh, fuck, I might have to sell this at a loss of like 10%. I want it to win. It's like, no, just look at what's going to happen as a byproduct of making that decision. And then you look at someone like Max. Max was in the office 2 weeks ago and he's like, I joined Platinum with like $500 and I got a loan from my missus to fund my early match betting.
Yeah, one of the other guys I'm working with in the mentorship, he's literally asked his missus for money to help him scale up his operation quicker.
That sounds like borderline negligent because a lot of people hear that and be like, well, what the fuck? You're getting loans to gamble. You're not gambling, obviously. You're putting money into something that makes money at a super fast rate at an ROI that's incomparable to any other investment. Yeah. If you got a brain and you see the opportunity, you take the opportunity of what's there. It's like, that's just simple logic, but a lot of people don't think like that, which is interesting.
It's a bit of a joke, but my old man and I, whenever we talk about it, it's not match betting. We don't use anything like using the word betting. We call it sports investments.
Well, yeah, I like that because it's not.
It's investing in sports, and it's like another one I use with my mates, and this is a genuine joke, but it's like, we get my money, put in a high interest sports bet account, like, get 28%
flat out though, like. Yeah.
There's a huge misconception around it. Like, we were at the tennis the other day and we're just like, I had a bonus bet in my account and I just launched a bonus bet on on a horse, and it was like fully in the realms of match betting. It was a profitable bet long term. And like, we're just saying to each other, like, everyone around us is looking at us like we're the biggest degenerates.
I had a couple of phones on me. I had Betfair open, had the price going, and literally, it's like you could feel that a couple of people around us, like, these guys are full degen. It's like,
but that's it's probably better than them thinking you're not, because
Yeah.
obviously I went to the footy. I reckon it was later in the year,
Yeah.
and I was supposed to write a video or / a blog about this. I promise you, at halftime, I looked around me. There was 12 people on their sports bet
it's
accounts
disgusting. Like
Yeah.
it's
looking
every
at their
game,
fucking
yeah.
multi-tracker for the game, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Like, I hadn't been to the
Yeah.
footy for like a year.
I've got 10 out of
Man,
11 ticked off.
Like
Oh.
50-year-old women, 40-year-old like mums. I'm like, what? That's the norm.
Yeah.
And it's become such a like obsession with everyone that everyone's doing it, not just like 19, 20-year-old kids. Like, we're talking old ladies,
But as you were saying
middle-aged
before,
ladies.
like we forget how many people. It's fucked up. How like
It's
I
fully
remember
fucked.
the missus and I went to some show. I can't remember what it was. But it was like the interval of halftime, and like there was a couple in front of us, and they like both pulled out their phones, and they like both had $100 multi, like 10 legs on like a footy game that was on. I was like, I kind of like numbed myself to, I guess, because we're surrounded by people that match bet and do
Yeah.
things like properly and like to scale. It's like I kind of was a little bit numb.
You forget.
You forget how
How-
bad some people can
Yeah.
be, and like how obsessive they are, and like how emotional they can get about it. And it's like I remember like it was a little bit of a slap in the face or a wake up moment. I'm like, this is not a good thing. Like this is
Well, you're in the top like not even 1%. You're in the top like 0.05. Like
Yeah.
it's super elite end like compared to everyone else, which is.
and to me that's
But
sad.
But you probably don't feel like that. Like, you don't feel like a genius.
No, but that's why I'm like, it's sad. It's like, why aren't more people doing this? Like, it's
Legit.
I can't.
and it's so easy once you grasp the concepts. It's literally just like
It's hard to understand. It's like I think it comes back to the fact that, for example, if you could say, all right, give me $5,000 and you do minimal work, and in a year's time that'll be 50K. Obviously, this is like unrealistic for some people, but assuming like, I don't know, you joined, or maybe 2 years, becomes 5K, becomes 50K, but you don't place a bet, you don't watch a sport, you don't do anything, people would be like, yeah, that's cool. But then when they get involved in it and they start betting and they lose like on a 1 unit or 2 units,
Yeah.
the fact that you're in it, then the brain is the reason why people don't do it, because they get sucked into the big payout in the short term. So for example, they see, okay, I can put $50 on this and I can make 20K in one bet. So instead of seeing the guarantee that they're going to make 50 in 2 years, they just want to make 20 then. So then you got the short term impatience. You've got the emotions of, like, I think if people delete the emotion side of it, that's where they get conned, but they don't actually know how to do that. It's all psych. Like, everything revolves back to like the psychology of short term, long term, patience, impatience. So I find it so interesting to like read people's behaviors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the benefits as well, starting off with such a small unit size, it's like the variance that you get is like, it's not impactful. Like, if you
Of
start on a
course.
$5 unit size and you lose 10 units, which is, I would say, would be some fairly negative variance. Like, it's $50. It's like you get to ride out those first few weeks, months on smaller units. So it's like you understand, cool, these concepts work, move on. And I think that was a big thing for mine.
But what did you feel about the fact that you'd invested 3 months and only made like,
Couldn't care less.
why?
Because I knew that this was the starting point. For me, it was
So
like...
you've extended your timeline.
Yeah, exactly.
Of the investment.
Exactly. It's like I knew the roadmap to increasing my unit size. It's like I was fine with that. For me, it was like...
Yeah.
And going back to what I said at the start, like a big thing for mine is if I don't guarantee a profit or money in every single bet, does this work? And once I was able to understand that, yes, obvious, it seems so dumb to even like say that out loud now, but once I was able to verify, like, okay, this is profitable, it's like, let's go.
Yeah, because I think the main problem for people, like a lot of people get to about a month, 2 months, and they'll stop following the system because they haven't made like 3, 4, 5 grand. Like, they see someone else make 5 grand, and they're like, oh fuck, I'm not making enough money. I'm spending like X hours a week doing it.
Yeah.
But like, if they understood that if they keep doing that, like your first 9 months you made 5, then your next 3 months you make 5, another 5. So it's like that's compounding. It's like doubling. And everything's now doubling. Like, what's your total profit excluding the fee? Like, you made 18
after all expenses.
No, like, forget about the fees.
Oh,
So 18K was what you made, or 17K. So you made 40.
Yeah, I think thereabouts.
So you made 23 since the mentorship.
Yeah. That
In
sounds
how
about
long?
right.
6 months? Less.
September, less.
4, 5.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've made 17K in a year and how long?
Probably a year and a half, I would say.
And then you've made 23K.
Actually, no, it would be a year. It would be a
Okay.
year. I think the timelines are a little bit off
Yeah,
my
whatever.
head, but approximately 17K.
But there's a pattern here.
Yeah.
The pattern is you're making money at a faster rate as time goes on.
And on that too, like you've I guess limited yourself in parts of that.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, so pre-mentorship, 17K. Since then, up to 40. So in literally like a fraction of the time.
And I reckon you made fuck all money in the first 3 months of the mentorship.
Yeah. Oh, if you want to.
Like, because it's really just the last 2 months that it's
Yeah.
started
Well,
to happen.
it probably took me a month and a half, 2 months before I actually started
Yeah.
implementing the things that I was learning.
Why was that?
Work was a bit busy.
Yeah.
And so.
But one, you're in a very kind of beginner position, so you had to kind of build up your base a bit.
Yeah, I was scaling from scratch, and so I had set everything up to scale, but it was a very, very, very busy couple of months.
So in that sense too, like you could have fast tracked that even quicker and made a lot.
Oh yeah,
be in
absolutely.
A lot better position now than you are already.
Yeah, I think for me, work is always the priority. It's the thing that I'm always going to put first. But that being said, I would say that I had scaled probably end of November. Like that's when I had set up a few different accounts, primed them, was ready to go. And so a lot of that profit that we're talking about really came December, Jan. Like both those months were like insanely profitable. And I remember I may have gone out, I may have had a couple of beers, but I remember I sent Lenny a voicemail message the other weekend, and I was like, this is actually a piss take.
I was getting, when you're on the, after your surgery, I was getting some rogue
Yeah,
messages.
That's right.
On the drugs.
Yeah,
He sends us screenshots from the mentorship people, our members, and it's always funny because I enjoy seeing Lenny get enjoyment out of seeing other people make money, which is something that we explain to people that probably don't understand until you've made someone money. Like the feeling of being like, I've changed that guy's life by making him money it's not a payment. Like it's not money. It's a weird warmness. Sounds cringe, but like you actually feel
reward.
good.
Yeah.
Like and he sat down with another mentorship member and we filmed it, and the guy started crying. We won't mention who, but it's fucking good footage because he sits there and goes, I could be making like, I don't know if you want to quote the figure, Lenny, but you said like I could make 50 to 100K per month if I was doing this. I could. Yeah. But I'm choosing to work with the boys instead because I enjoy helping people. And it's like, most people are like, well, what the fuck's wrong with him? He's making like way less money. Yeah. He's not making 50K a month with us. And then like you could be doing that. It's like, why? Yeah. It's because he sees the bigger picture. He sees like the fact that that's coming through reward. So it's very interesting.
Now on that too, you made what 23K since we started. That's not going to be the same for everyone. Like you're obviously in a very unique position in what you do for work and how you kind of operate your match betting. So that number is definitely not what anyone else would achieve, and it's obviously it's very different for everyone depending on your starting position and your kind of circumstances around that. So I just thought I'd clear that up before we move on. Now we have another announcement too. So we've grown the sports system quite a bit, and we're coming up on our second winter service, and we've just brought Dennis on board for to help me out with the load a bit there because it's getting a bit over the top. So welcome on for that.
It's keen to be on board, and it's sort of, I think that of all the different methods, I actually enjoy doing it. Like it's a bit of fun. It's obviously like sports is something I'm very interested in. Don't know a thing I look about horses, so that's very like robotic for me. It's sort of just like tip comes in, place bet. I like the race it's on, but I'm never really watching the result. Whereas like sports is like the actual, I actually enjoy doing it. I find it fun. Yep. So no, I'm keen to be part of the team, and
nice. A few more Ben King tips for those.
Ben King, what a fill up.
Inside jokes. Nice. What else? Do you have any questions for us?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I first saw like the first TikTok a couple of years back, it's like it was pretty much you roasting people online to where the business is now. Like, you've got your office, like the team is growing. It's like all these different services and offering. It's like not necessarily match betting related, but I'm just more curious to know, like, what has been your big reflections just watching the business grow? So I think it's a hard thing to start your own business. Like, most businesses fail within 2 years. Like, it's not an easy thing. And so it's like, it's always nice to pick the brain of people that have like done it and done it well.
I feel like this is something that I personally probably don't do enough of, is like sitting there and being like, fuck, what we've built is actually really good.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very critical of things more than being satisfied, if that makes sense. I'm more of a like perfectionist, want to always get better, which can have a downside, but I think seeing, and if you said to me like, it's kind of like when someone like wins a Brownlow or wins a premiership, they like take like 4 weeks to realize that they've done it before it sinks in. So like right now we've got like 1,200 members, like we've got like close to 10, 15 team members now across like full time and around Australia, and it's like and internationally. It's like, cool, we built that, and now we're trying to grow that. And it's like, as much as sometimes we're pretty harsh on ourselves, we have to sometimes sit back. So I think we probably should do a little bit more of that.
Yeah.
But if you ask me truly what I think right now of our business, definitely not satisfied. And I think there's so much we can improve on. And that's something that we're working on currently. Like, we're about to refilm the entire Platinum and System content again, and then launch new products and have other things building in the background. So there's always new things. It's kind of like always finding the balance between trying to do everything yourself as well as getting other people on board. Coaching them is very difficult. So in terms of reflection, I know reflection's a general thing, but like negatives, probably not do enough of the well done.
Yeah.
Positives, we've grinded our asses off, and it doesn't feel like work.
The biggest thing I've noticed in the last, been here a bit over a year now, is like how much you, Tom and Steve have changed.
Yeah.
You've gone from like working from your homes, being shit operators essentially. Like not shit, but compared to what you are now, fully different people in how you kind of operate and get things done. Have you noticed that?
It's like you forget. You don't sit back and remember what you were like 2 years ago because you now are in the present. But I watched, weirdly, a podcast for 10 minutes last night from 2022. It was filmed in my house. Yeah, and it's like watching us all. Like, Steve looks fully different. Tom looks fully different. Even like I look different. And it's like physically we look different, but we also speaking different. It's like weird to look back like that. But you don't really think about that because now the norm's the norm, if that makes sense.
Progression.
Interesting. Yeah, like seeing the content we used to post is pretty fucking embarrassing.
We'll put a clip up here of Tom's head from that podcast.
Well, you can understand why people say what they did.
Yeah.
Like, you're in your mum's garage or you're in your grandma's couch. Like, fair enough.
Yeah.
But like,
Borderline
at least we're on our mum's couch. You're sitting there on TikTok, not actually posting any videos. So
Sitting on your mum's couch, commenting on someone else,
literally
doing something on their mum's
and now
couch.
we've got an office and we're doing things on a larger scale, and like because we wanted to make it happen. Like, that didn't affect us, but it is now. I can see looking, and like we'll look back on this in 2 years and being like, what a fuckwit again. Yeah. Like, you actually shit and you're better again. So it's like, it's a dangerous game, always wanting to improve, because you can then chase improvements forever. But maybe I think it'd be better than sitting there thinking you're the best.
Yeah, for sure.
And not wanting to improve. But not sure.
Yeah.
How do you feel working in do you like your job?
Yeah. No, I think I do like my job. I think that it's, I'm probably at a point now where I sort of want to target something very specific that I want to do.
Yeah.
I think the sort of line of work that I'm in is quite broad, across many different industries, types of clients, which is a good place to start, especially out of uni. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Yeah. And I've got a taste for a lot of different industries and a lot of different types of work. So I think I'm at that point now where it's like, let's target something and go towards it. Yeah. What that is, I'm not too sure. I'm not forcing it. I'm sort of just, when something pops up, it pops up. But, I think the good thing about my job is it's challenging. Like, you'll never, ever get to a point where you're like, I'm good at my job. You can go through the motions. It's always changing. It's always different. They're quite progressive in terms of like culture. Like, they have very good work-life balance in terms of like you can work around your life, your schedule, like so they're quite accommodating on that front. So I think that's what's enabled me to, you know, really grab match betting by the balls as well.
Yeah.
It's like they complement each other very well. And it's like I never sacrifice work for it because obviously that's still priority number one. But it's not like, you know, I'm working 9 till 9 every single, or 8 till 8 every single day, Monday to Friday. And then by the time I get to Saturday, I'm dead. And the last thing I want to do is sit in a computer
Yeah,
for
interesting.
7.5 hours.
So have you, so let's dumb this down. How many hours a week are you actually spending on your match betting now? And has that increased or decreased since working with Lenny?
You would have more of an idea of how to manage that too.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, so explain like hours
It's-
before, hours after.
it's actually probably decreased, but that's because Lenny has optimized everything.
So you're making like triple, double, quadruple when you're spending less time.
Probably only fractionally less, but that's
How many hours in a week then?
I rarely follow a Wednesday because I'm working. So
like what's a Monday to Sunday look like for you?
break it into Monday to Friday first.
Yeah, okay.
Sports system's quite easy to follow. Tips come out first thing in the morning, so I don't need to worry about that. Get us some sustainability throughout the week.
Like hours? Daily?
I wouldn't spend an hour a day. It would probably be 2 hours from Monday to Friday.
You spend 2 hours from Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
Placing all the bets and your sustainability.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then Saturday, Sunday?
Saturday is a full day, so
Yeah.
I'll wake up relatively early on a Saturday and start firing away mugs.
Non-promos.
Non-promos, sorry.
There you are.
And yeah, so I set up my accounts for the day. I usually, I get a head start on that. Then when the promo list comes out and the tips, I see where I need to allocate my bets. On a Saturday, I'll always go 1-for-1 non-promo to promo ratio. And so if I know I'm going to hit bookie A 7 times across all the different sports, I'll have 7 non-promo bets. So I set it up for that. And then Sunday night, the last couple of months, is probably where I spend most of my attention and effort. Then that's sort of with my own sports system. So there's a lot of NFL Monday morning. Yep. And so that's when I'm sort of in the lab doing a bit of work, trying to figure and put it all together.
And you've also mentioned you find that quite fun to do. So you probably spend a lot more time on that than you necessarily need to. Or
Absolutely.
Like how relative that is to the money. So
So what would you say the total hours in the week? 20? Less?
Less, 15 to 18.
What's your hourly rate for match betting?
Well, it's still scaling up. It's just keep going up.
Probably couldn't just yet put a number on it.
Well, you made 8K or 7K in how much in Jan? Looking at Jan only, like 1 month sample size. Do you think you're going to be making more than 7K a month now? Or the same?
116 an hour, thereabouts.
Yeah, nice.
But that's constantly scaling up. So
yeah, that's I've still got.
That might be 200 in 2 weeks.
I'm probably at 50% of my scale capacity at the moment, I would say.
We wanted to essentially double you in a month's time from now.
Yeah. Well, Lenny gave me a call just after New Year's Eve, and he sort of, asked me how I'm going, where things are at, and at the end of it, set me specific goals and targets for the winter sports system, and it's like, I think that.
So we'll literally have your operation doubled in a month's time from now.
Yeah, and that's on track to go, and then so from there, it's gonna obviously a little bit more time is probably gonna have to go into it, but I definitely can afford to do that.
And doubling the operation doesn't necessarily mean doubling the time either.
No.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I think that. It's
an easy way to put it is there's guys making hundreds of thousands on a Saturday, and they're spending the same amount of time as the guys making $50 on a Saturday, or the guys losing money on a Saturday. There's only so many hours on a Saturday.
It's like, especially for the people who lose, like you're doing the same thing as them, and you're making like stupid money, and they're losing money. It's like I wish that more people knew what they could be doing with their time.
It's
not for our benefit, for theirs.
It's so funny though, because it's like people will be spending the same sort of time. Like I got mates that also like the NFL, and they'll spend time like putting together their bets and whatever. And it's like you look at them like, this is just stupid. Like,
that's the thing.
It's like I'm like, what are you like? What is this? I was like, I have a group chat with some friends. I'm like, The only thing I really put in there now is I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And
Yeah,
this is the second dumbest thing I've ever
It's fully
seen.
insanity
Like-
to once you see it. Like, Tom had a call with someone. I don't know if we've mentioned this. He had a call with like a middle-aged guy who was spending like, I don't want to name the maybe just say 8 hours a week, or maybe 6 to 8 hours a week on doing like form and all this stuff, and he was losing money, right? And then at the end of the call, Tom said to him, "Why haven't you like? Do you want to join?" He's like, "Oh, I'm probably not sure if I would have the time." And Tom's like, "Hang on, just like I just want to dumb this down. Have you ever thought of like the time that you're investing into that could be doing this and making you money?" He's like, "I've never thought of it like that."
Yeah. No,
Which is so hard to like hear.
To me,
It's
I
like,
can't really
what?
grasp it. I think like the other thing as well, I remember there was a UFC fight ages ago. I can't remember who it was in, but I think it was in Utah or Colorado or something like that, a high altitude. And the group chat was like, "Oh, who do you think is going to win? I need to add this leg in, blah, blah, blah." And there's like,
I think we're gonna tip that card as well.
potentially, but they're like, "Oh no, it's high altitude. This person is younger. They're going to win." I'm like, you don't think the bookies have
Yeah,
thought of this? I'm
legit.
like, you don't think this, like,
Yeah.
you think like,
It's already priced into the odds.
and then it's like,
Yeah.
once you've said that, it's like, yeah, but it's high altitude. I'm like, but it's in the, like,
Literally.
they just don't grasp how it's like, it doesn't.
Yeah, all the form, everything is priced in the odds. Whether there's slight risk of injury, or there's slight risk of
Someone's
getting
already
minutes in the
thought of it
court,
before you.
It's
Literally.
their algorithms literally price that perfectly, so you continue to lose money.
100%.
It's hard to like, but it's the human instinct. It's like you think you've clocked something, or you think you know more than you do always,
Yeah.
and like you actually probably don't.
Yeah, it's like, let's say hypothetically, like, you do have some knowledge edge and you are able to, like, tip correctly. It's like the odds are stacked against you without
Yeah.
promotions or like a mathematical edge. There's a knowledge edge you can have, but if you're not pairing that with, promotions
mathematical edge.
and
Yeah.
you're
It's
pushing.
it's called the illusion of control. Like if you want to be specific with it, it's
Yeah.
like you might think that Dacos is a good chance, but like
Brownlow, he's going to win it this year.
literally.
Yeah.
Well,
How's that guy from the barber? He lost that all. Didn't you have Dacos to win the Brownlow?
I don't know.
So fuck, I feel bad, like because I would have told, I told the barber, I'm like, please tell him to hedge. Like this guy would have won like, I don't know, 250k. He had like 10k on something at like, or do the math, like maybe at whatever the math is, 25.
I don't want to.
And like this guy's a massive gambler. His mate, like the barber like has no clue.
Yeah.
He's from another country, but he was telling me my mate's a massive gambler. He's got Dacos to win the Brownlow, and he's got 250k return on it or something, and he's hoping he's going to win. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, he's probably not going to win, and this guy's going to lose it all. And you could have guaranteed like something dumb. He was paying like $1.50 at one point mid-season, maybe less at Lenny. $1.30. What did he get down to?
I think I saw $1.45.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah,
you
that's-
hedge
yeah.
that, like obviously you need the funds,
Yeah, but
but like make that happen. Like go and guarantee yourself like 150k,
it doesn't matter what happens at that stage.
Like,
You've guaranteed the money.
150k, and then you make nothing. You lose 10k.
Unless you bet with WishBet, then you're gonna lose that.
Yeah. Well, obviously, but you wouldn't do that on WishBet.
I think we'll wrap it up there.
Yeah.
Do you have any final send-offs? Do you have a message for people watching this who may be on the edge about
Well,
changing their lives?
Yeah, do that first, and I've got a question for you.
Just do it. Like, I think everyone sits here and says the exact same thing, but it's like, if you've got into this stage of my podcast, anyone else's podcast, and you're still on the edge, like, I don't know what else someone can really tell you. Like, you've listened to all the content, you know how it's changed other people's lives and how profitable it is. It's like, think about the downside. Like, what is your genuine, like, risk reward? Like, it's a no-brainer for mine, but each their own.
So if you're watching this and you've learned something from the podcast, awesome stuff. Do yourself a favor and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything else. And go one better and forward this on to one of your mates who might actually get something out of it as well. Yeah, that's good advice. I have a question. You probably heard this on one of our podcasts. Would you pick $50 out of a urinal with piss all over it? The note's covered in piss.
Nah, probably not.
You wouldn't pick it up.
I think that's a low EV.
Interesting.
That's
I would have thought you said yes.
That's what happens when you're on $120 an hour.
What about you?
Yeah, I would for sure.
Pick it up.
Yeah.
What would you do with it?
I'd clean it.
And then what? Pocket it?
I'd probably go buy a hot dog and chips at the MCG and sit
Hot
down
dog
half
and
time and watch the rest of the game.
Oh, okay, because you're in there. Yeah, I'd pick it up.
What's your limit? Like, what would it have to be covered in order for you not to pick it up?
I'm not a germaphobe, so I don't care. Unless it's in fucking acid where it's going to burn my finger. But like if it's in shit or piss, I'll probably still pick it up.
In a carcass.
I used to deal with cadavers at uni, so
Yeah, fair enough.
cutting open dead people.
Yeah.
Old ladies,
How was that?
gluteals.
Would you go back to it?
No, I don't like
Dead bodies?
doing it. No, that was I never had issue with that.
He
I
just hates
didn't
being an osteo.
osteopath, yeah.
Yeah.
He wouldn't touch you if you were
But
dying.
no, like it's a body, like it's an object. It's got skin taken off. You see all the muscles. Like it's great to learn what's under the skin.
Yeah.
Most people, like if you don't like it, you wouldn't be in the course. So
I don't know, there's something about like that and like surgeries as well. Like I'm like fairly good when it comes to like graphic content, but it's like whenever it's like planned and surgical and controlled, there's something about
I want to show you
removing
something.
the chaos out of it that just makes it a bit eerie.
Injuries, like I can't watch my.
I'll
I've
show
got my
you.
knee when I did my ACL on video. I haven't watched it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to. I just had my shoulder done. I wouldn't be able to watch
So
that.
I haven't told you this, but do you know that I have metal plates in my face?
No, but I think I remember you mentioned it.
Do you wanna
in a
see the
podcast.
photo?
Yeah, go for it.
So
Jeez, what happened?
does that do you care about that?
No,
That's fine. Okay.
There's a bit of
Well, that
chaos
one.
to that. What happened?
Fell off a bike and landed on my head.
Were you going 120 k's an hour?
No, downstairs. But no, I just wanted to see
Jeez.
if then that's plates. But no, that's pretty cool. Some people struggle to watch that, but I think it's pretty funny.
He was
wild.
rinsing the punters at the footy.
How old
Yeah.
were you?
23.
Jeez.
So 8 years ago. But no, I just wanted to see how you would react to that, but
Yeah.
you didn't react, so all
No,
good.
when there's a bit of chaos involved, it's when you remove that and it's like,
So yeah, where does it like if you watch someone break their leg, is that on an NBA court or something?
Yeah.
They're all good?
one of
does
my group chats is just sharing reels on Instagram.
Yeah, so you're fine.
It's just back and forth.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You can't do that, can you?
I'd prefer not to.
I'll send them your way.
Yeah. No, my mates do. They send me some. Yeah. I don't need to comment on that.
Search jiu-jitsu compilations. There's some good ones. Some good cracks and breaks and
I don't know. I kind of like the fighting though. It's just like human on human contact, and it's
yeah.
like impressive to do that.
Yeah. I'm trying to get him involved in some type of combat sport. He'd be a weapon.
Well, he said if he's going to have a crack at footy. Obviously, he's very good at footy, but he had his ACL. So, I mean, he's having a crack at some high-level stuff. I reckon he was half a chance to get there.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't, he goes, I'm just going to go sign up to
Yeah.
UFC fighting.
Just fight cunts.
Do it. Honestly, do it. It's like, that's scary as. But I think just one more question from me to you, Lenny. It's sort of like, was it a big jump to move down here and sort of start running a service, or was it just like a no-brainer?
I don't know. It's kind of this kind of mindset we're talking about of taking that or make that investment to do something.
Yeah.
I reckon I probably didn't think it at the time, but I reckon I had that embedded in me, and I literally jumped on it when JP, like he jumped on wanting me, but I jumped on wanting to come here.
Yeah.
And I reckon it's the same thing as that mindset we're talking about.
Yeah.
Like there was no risk. At worst, I went back home and lived the same life I was living. Start match betting again. Start making a lot.
This is true.
Start making
Downside,
40K a
upside,
month again.
didn't see much downside.
Yeah.
What do you, last question, what do you, does your partner know exactly how much you're making?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you do you team up and say, this is a plan we're going to make this.
Yep.
Are you merged funds? Personal question.
No, but we both have the
leverage each
exact
other.
common goal that we want to get to.
So if you go on a holiday, you'll pay for it?
No, no. Everything is so evenly split.
Yeah, right, okay.
It's very even on that regard. We just don't have.
Yeah,
I think we're actually talking about we've been together for 7 years. So it's a fairly long-term relationship. I think we might start something just to make it easier. But no, we have.
If you buy a house?
Yeah, definitely.
Shared.
We have very specific goals. We're buying a house together at some stage. We both have specific targets we want to get to by date X. So it's, very straightforward.
Why haven't you moved out of home yet?
Low EV.
Low EV, you reckon? I reckon it's
circumstances.
low. I reckon it's low EV. Staying at home.
Depends on the
that.
circumstance. For me, it was
Personal
fully low EV.
growth. Do you cook your food, or your parents do it for you?
Probably 50-50. Probably.
Yeah, right. Clothes?
Mum probably does most of it. No, mum does a lot of heavy lifting there, but there was a period of time when my
Interesting.
parents moved overseas, and so I was living by myself with my brother. But
So you could do it.
I know I'm more than capable of doing all of that.
Interesting.
I just think that everyone's got their own circumstances.
I'd say his circumstances like different to mine. Like for me, it was a no-brainer to do that, and like it was negative EV staying home.
Yeah.
In my kind of position.
How do you want to say your age?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old are you?
Turning 25.
Yeah, so I thought you were older. Yeah, you're only young, so well, you're not young as him, but yes, you're not 30. Like
No.
I'm 31, so I'm old. But 25, so 24.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you still got. Do you plan on moving out anytime soon?
Hopefully by end of year.
To what? Buy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never rent.
I know that it was your 15-minute podcast this morning. For me, and again, everyone's circumstances are different, but we both have very loving, accommodating families that, you know, we save a lot of money living at home.
Yeah, you would.
It makes life a lot easier.
For sure.
And it doesn't make sense to move out just to be like, we have our independence. It's like, personally, I know from my experience, I can live by myself. I'd be very comfortable to live by myself. It's like, I still definitely pay for things. It's not like it's a free ride at this stage, but when I've got such a supporting family, it financially, I think it's a bit silly to move out just to be like, I'm free from my parents. Like,
honestly, I'd be if I was working a corporate job back in Sydney, I'd be the same.
Yeah, but again, everyone has different like, for example, if there was a job opportunity in Sydney, Queensland, anywhere, and I was like, I really wanted it, I wouldn't hesitate to spend that. Like, if the upside is worth it, it's worth it. But I don't see the significant benefit to rushing moving out. I think
the issue is, when you're staying at home, just being comfortable, not doing anything
Yeah, that's, I think, the key. It's like if you're at home, you're not like.
And when you're saying low EV, I'm pretty sure that's
what I mean.
you're trying to get.
So there'd be people out there that's like, oh, I'm staying at home, I'm saving money, but then they will go and spend more on like nights out, dinners, and at the end of the day, that's like way more negative EV, you could argue, than like going out, being independent, probably end up spending a little bit more, but now you've like challenged yourself to force to adapt to like that. Whereas other people, I reckon it comes from I want to say European background families. They stay home longer. Like I got a mate,
for sure.
Italian, and still at home 31.
Yeah, no.
I'm like, bro, fucking move out.
It's that, or it's like there's such a strong WOG mindset of like
legit
purchasing a house, and it's like I'm Italian, my partner, she's Greek, so it's like we both get that. It's like stay at home, but then also buy a house, and it's like So I think that's sort of distilled in our memories.
Well, my sister's still at home.
Yeah,
she's 25 this year.
Yeah,
my other siblings out, got a house, and I'm renting. But she's
your
got
sister owns that house, doesn't she?
Yeah. Well, she's paying. She doesn't own it. She's got a loan.
All of it. Yeah.
She's got a couple of walls and a few doors, maybe some bricks.
And some ice cubes.
Yeah.
But my other sister has investment property, and she's still living home.
See, I think that's smart.
Yeah, maybe.
I think
if the ROI is good.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that the numbers have to make sense. Like, there's definitely areas that you would invest in, areas where it's silly to invest in. I'm the furthest thing from an expert on the housing market, but I've spent a little bit of time looking into it, talking to people that know a little bit about it. So.
Yeah, but the way you're thinking is very much how you should be thinking.
Yeah.
You're analysing it upside down, side, doing the numbers, doing the pros and cons. Like, this is how you should be making any decision. And then it's not right or wrong. It's you've analysed it for your personal situation. Then you've made a decision. Yeah. The issue I have is when people just fucking make the decision and don't actually think about what they're doing. So it's like...
Yeah. And I think a point that sort of Tom made earlier in that podcast as well was, people purchase a house and then they, it's going to go up in value and then they sell it, but they're buying in the same market. It's like, it's also not as simple as I buy a house for $1 million, sell it for 1.5. After your interest and it's not that profitable.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't imagine, like obviously there's specific areas to target, but when people talk about how much they bought and sold a house for, they leave out the interest payments, all the repairs, all the fees, or like the taxes. So it's like, that's sort of, for me, it's not necessarily I want to invest into a house to make money. I just think that's the next step in life and the progression.
Well, there's a lot of people, like if I was to buy a house, it would be because I want to have my own walls that I can fucking do whatever I want on them, rather than like renting. You kind of always having to worry about, like, it's not yours.
Yeah.
It never will be. And that's kind of like a different reason. And I feel like that's why a lot of people buy a house.
I'd never buy a house to live in. I'd only buy investment properties.
So you never want to have your own house? Ever?
I just, I mean, if I had the money to do so, 100%. But
you do have the money.
No, as in
if you wanted to.
Like, say I had 30 million sitting there, like,
Yeah.
I'd buy a house because it doesn't like worry me. But
Yeah,
like,
because
if I'm
you still got more left over. That's why.
yeah.
Right now, if you used it up a deposit, I'm the same.
If I spent
I'd
like
feel
all my money now,
stuck.
yeah, I could buy a house, but then I'm stuck in that house. But if I could buy a house and have money left over, I would buy it. But if I'm still in a position where I am stuck by buying a house, there's not a chance I'd do it.
Yeah, it's coming back to the percentage of capital you have liquid versus what you want to spend on the house.
Yeah.
It's like if you're using up 80% of it to do that, then you're pretty stuck.
I saw this interesting clip. I can't remember who it was, but someone spoke about they are a property investor, but they don't purchase the houses to live in. Like, there's purely investments and
leverage
like,
everything.
And it makes perfect sense because it's like their cost of living is fixed. Their rent is X, and then assuming they don't damage anything, that's all they have to pay for. Like, it's then the landlord's responsibility to, top up amenities, lights, maintenance, all that. Like, you're removing all of that downside, and then because they're still investing in the property market, like,
that's called rent vesting. No?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
A little bit off topic.
No, it's all valid. But we sort of said we are going to end it 15 minutes ago, but now we'll probably end it. Yeah. Any final questions?
No final questions from me. I don't think we've mentioned Hormozy in this podcast, so I think we'll try and get something in there.
Did I?
Not in this one. I think
I was going to.
It's been in the last 6.
I reckon we've used a lot of his ideology.
I was going to say something, but I mustn't have said it. I forgot, but I literally was going to, but I forgot.
Oh well.
Unlucky.
For the next one. Beauty.
Anything else?
No, that's all from me.
Thank you very much for joining us, and hopefully, what's your goal for the next 12 months? Profit.
I want to finish the minimum 80K. Hopefully cracking 100, but that's ambitious. But I think 80 is realistic.
What's your goals for him?
Depends how much like work you want to put into it. Like, you can.
But what do you think? If you had to predict what he's going to make in the next 12 months?
In 2024, there's no reason you should make like less than 100K.
No.
At least.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think we broke it down on a call once. Like, the accounts we have, the goals, the unit size. If we felt like we broke it, it was very mathematical. I think it's more than achievable.
Yep. All right.
I'd say 100's conservative.
That's pretty good.
There you go. 100's conservative.
Yeah, interesting. That's not. I think you'll get a lot of hate from this, knowing that you're making that much money.
Oh well.
What do you say to that?
Yeah. Actually, I think this is Hormozy. I think you'll never you'll never see a hater doing better than you.
Yep. So that's what someone Prime Train posted that last night on.
Yeah, he did too.
Cheers, you reckon? Cheers. Thanks for coming. See you next time.
Beauty. Thank you.
So if you want to learn what match betting is and how to get started, there's a free course linked directly in the YouTube description. It goes for 60 minutes. It contains a number of videos explaining how it all works and how you can get started for free today.